the Big Three, Fantasy Alarm TV. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. Let's talk some Week 6 sleepers. A couple of these names aren't really sleepers. Third one certainly is. The first number of the day is 9, as in the number of receptions the last 2 games for Kamar Aiken. He's not a sleeper. People know who he is at this point. But he's been really productive. Not only does he have 9 catches the last 2 games, he's gone for 77 yards in 3 of the last 4 outings. Joe Flacco certainly building a trust with him. Aiken and the Ravens take on the Niners. The Niners are one of 4 teams to allow more than 1,000 yards to the wide receiver position to this point. It's uncertain if Steve Smith is going to play with his rib back issue. Even if he does, Kamar Aiken has established himself as someone you can trust. Right now, he's just outside the top 25 at FantasyAlarm.com in our rankings. Got the ability to be a wide receiver 2 this week against the Niners. Second number of the day is 16. What does that mean? That's the average number of carries the last 2 games for LeGarrette Blount. Now, everyone's talking Gronkowski, they're talking Brady, they're talking Deion Lewis. I get it in this matchup with the Colts, I get it. But let's talk about LeGarrette Blount. Not only has he averaged 16 carries the last 2 weeks, he's also averaged 76 yards and 1.5 touchdowns. 16, 76, 1.5. Pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, it's really good. LeGarrette Blount is kind of a sneaky running back 2 play this week. No one's talking about him. The Colts defense is bottom half in football, 112 yards on the ground, 4 rushing scores they've allowed. Fire up LeGarrette Blount. Not sexy, not exciting, not as big a name as the other guys in the fantasy game, but a guy you can trust, I think, in Week 6. And then the final name and number belongs to this name. The number's 1. It's the number of touchdowns in his career by Mr. Carrier, Derek Carrier, the tight end of the Redskins. Why am I talking about Carrier? Who else is at tight end right now? Reed is done for the week, it looks like. That issue with his concussion. He's not done. Well, is he done? That's another debate we could have about whether a season long is done or not. But it doesn't look like he's going to play in Week 6 because of concussion woes. Deshaun Jackson may or may not play with his hamstring issue. We know that Crowder has asserted himself in this offense. But Carrier is a very sneaky play, even in a bad matchup. The Jets have only, they're one of the 3 best defenses actually in fantasy points allowed to the tight end. So why am I throwing Carrier's name out there? Because I wanted a sleeper. The other 2 are kind of obvious. Let's go Carrier. Let's go really deep. I'm talking dart throws of dart throws. We're talking DFS, bottom barrel kind of stuff. Carrier's not going to blow up. But if he catches a couple passes and gets in the end zone, it's not too bad for a sleeper call. Ray Flowers, Big 3, Fantasy Alarm. Don't forget, visit us, FantasyAlarm.com, for our rankings for Week 6. They're free.